This is Arizona State wide receiver Jodryn Tyson, possibly the best route runner in the rookie class, great at separating and high pointing the ball, and coached by Super Bowl MVP Hines Ward. But he does have one of the most alarming weaknesses out of any rookie I've evaluated so far in the class, and it could change everything. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. I break down every single rookie coming into the 2026 class to help you dominate fantasy football and all season long as well. So we'll go ahead and start with his strengths, then get into his weaknesses, his NFL comp, and what exactly that means for fantasy football. So when you look at Tyson, he started at Colorado in 2022 as a true freshman, putting up 22 catches for 470 yards, 4 touchdowns, and averaging 21 yards per catch. That ranked 4th in all of college football, showing real upside. But he quickly put the entire country on notice when he had his breakout game versus Arizona State, where he dropped 246 all-purpose yards, catching and punt returning, and 2 touchdowns. But then he decided to go to bigger and better things, transferred to Arizona State, spends a year getting coached up by Hines Ward, goes absolutely nuclear in that offense. 75 catches, over 1,000 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, a third-team AP All-American, Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year, and seriously looked like the next coming of CeeDee Lamb in that 2024 season. But then next year, in 2025, what we just witnessed, he only played 9 games due to injury, but he did still have a good season. He was 7th in PFF grade for all wide receivers at 85.3. It just wasn't as dominant of a year as 2024 was, and I'll get into exactly why that is in a minute. But the number one thing that you need to know about Jodryn Tyson is that he can line up anywhere on the field. He is an elite target earner. He commanded a 31.2% target share on his career. That ranks in the 98th percentile of any wide receiver we've ever seen coming from college. He is a polished route runner. He can separate when he needs to. He just gets open, period. Like, you watch any of his games, he sells the shoulder fake on routes so well. He had an 84% open target rate over his career. He's really good at selling the vertical routes before undercutting it and running underneath. A lot of times you'll see rookie wide receivers coming in from college. They have to gear down to locate the football, and it kind of gets them off their track. Jodryn Tyson does not do that. He's also really good at using his offhand on the sideline to generate some space, but also maintain his catch radius and not get him pushed offline. It's a really subtle aspect that I noticed about his game in his tape, but it also is one of those things that can take you from a great wide receiver to an elite wide receiver if you have all the other. Contested catch rate is absolutely insane at 67% in 2024, which was top 10 in the class. He boxes out defenders on jump balls like he's playing basketball. That concept, his body control is great. He can really high point the ball, and he's great at tracking on deep routes as well. And one thing that I think is really underrated about Jodryn Tyson and his game that a lot of people are overlooking is his red zone ability, mostly because of his size. He is slightly undersized for an outside wide receiver at 6 foot, 200 pounds, but it's not necessarily crazy undersized like maybe a Tank Dell is, but he does show up in the big moments. He's tough, he's competitive, he's had multiple fourth quarter touchdowns and third down conversions in his career. But there are some real weaknesses, like we talked about earlier with Tyson, that makes him a real big red flag. And the first one is going to be his injury history, and it's by far the biggest issue. It makes him a real boomer bust candidate in this year's draft. I mean, he had a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL. It cost him 15 games from 2022 and 2023. A collarbone injury in 2024 that forced him to miss the Big 12 championship game and the college football playoffs combined. He had a hamstring injury in 2025 that cost him 3 additional games. That's 3 different injuries in all 3 consecutive seasons. Now, the team doctors are going to get their paychecks worth with this guy when he comes to the NFL, and that's something that the fantasy managers that are going to be drafting him this year just really have to accept. There is a real chance that continues into the NFL. I mean, missing 18 games in 4 years is not a positive at the collegiate level, at wide receiver especially, and this is why he's the most boomer bust wide receiver coming into the class in my eyes, because he dominated in 2024. That version of himself was elite. That is CeeDee Lamb-esque what he was able to do. That version of himself is still in there somewhere. I can chalk up his 2025 season for him returning from injury, and he kind of needs to get back into the speed of things. I guess that's understandable. But beyond that injury history, there is some other things. Like, he has a tendency to lose focus and drop passes more than he should, especially at a guy going and projected to be drafted as high as he is. His drop rate in his career is 7.6%, with 12 drops in 2022 through 2024 combined. His career catch rate sits at 60.7. That's pretty far below what you want in a consensus first-round pick. At the NFL level, you simply just cannot be leaving that many plays on the field, and you significantly will lose playtime if that continues to happen. His after the catch numbers also aren't like jumping off the page. They're not terrible, but he doesn't force a ton of missed tackles. Only 8.2% of his career receptions averaged over 5 yards after the catch. He wins through his route running. Like, that craft itself is amazing. It's not going to be with the ball in his hands in space. He's fine in that, but it does limit his upside in standard and PPR formats. And he's average at beating zone as well, a 2.39 yard per route run against it. That's not terrible, but what he's really good at is dominating against man coverage. He's kind of like an AJ Brown in that way, 3.44 yards per route run. That's absolutely amazing. But given how often NFL defenses run zone heavy coverages, it might be a little bit hard for him to separate in his first year or first couple games. For example, if he's not the number one downfield, throw it up and hope for the best kind of wide receiver in his offense on his own team in the NFL. His speed is also average. Again, not a weakness, but that's not necessarily what he's known for. He doesn't threaten a defense vertically like you would really want for an X wide receiver on the outside to torch you deep downfield. That's typically the success profile of that kind of guy in the NFL. But because of all that, he's still a great wide receiver. My NFL comp for him is Jacoby Myers, a high volume wide receiver, a high target rate guy who wins through his route running and positioning rather than elite athleticism like some other guys in the draft. His ceiling can be a Stephon Diggs or Chris Olave kind of guy. I know they're two completely different styles of wide receiver, but again, Tyson can be molded into really anything at the pro level. Like, he can line up at the slot, in the outside. He's very coachable. Put him anywhere. He can be a legitimate number one wide receiver if his health checks out, who can win consistently and earn a high target share. So when we look at fantasy football, he 1000% has the upside to be that target earning number one wide receiver that translate instantly into a pass heavy offense where he can be the number one or two guy on his team. The honest year one projection for me, if he's fully healthy again, is a wide receiver 2 kind of upside in PPR formats. I'd put him around the wide receiver 30 right now, but could be one of the best value picks in your fantasy football draft if guys like Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon are getting a ton of hype, and it's kind of, hiding him behind the shadows, so to speak. So yes, he might be risky, but the upside is 100% there. That is the full breakdown of Jodryn Tyson. If you want to see more rookie breakdowns just like this, make sure you are subscribed and check the playlist down below in the description because there's more videos there waiting for you as well. All glory to the man above.